Anilo Piro, Jake Shapiro, Mile High Hoops podcast. And if you could believe it, we're not even at Christmas yet, but that means we're about a quarter way through the NBA season. A lot has happened. The NBA Cup kept on moving last night. I don't think anyone in Nuggets Nation cares anymore. And the Denver Nuggets are off to the best start in franchise history, which we talked a lot about on Monday from the team's perspective. We're going to talk about it more from the league's perspective on today's show and trying to figure out exactly where the Nuggets stand. And the thing is, Anilo, if you look at the betting markets right now, obviously the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have only lost one game, are favorites. Anilo, they are minus favorites a quarter way through the NBA season. They're minus 110 to win the championship. That is an absurd favorite. We will get back to them in a second. The Denver Nuggets have the second best odds to win a championship at plus 800. The third best team's plus 1300. So the odds makers are telling you one's all the way up here off the screen, two's here, three's down here. And I think from what I've seen so far, 23 games to the Nuggets season, a quarter way through the NBA season, I would agree. I think the Denver Nuggets are clearly separated themselves from the rest of the league, except for the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are in the stratosphere.
They're disgusting, bro. It's I just got finished doing the rundown with our guy Richie Carney, and we were kind of talking about the Thunder, and you and I were talking off screen before. Like, I think they're going to break the Warriors record for single season, wins and losses and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they win every game by like 20 points. I mean, that's where we're at with this Oklahoma City Thunder team. And remember how their season started, right? Like, I think it was their first two games, both double overtime games for them. Their lone loss is to the Portland Trailblazers in a game in which they also led by double digits at one point. I mean, they're foul. Like, and again, I'm tipping my cap. Like, I know I'm a little salty when I say that, but it's just like they're so damn good in the regular season that I've kind of given up on that. I'm like, okay, OKC's getting the 1 seed. That's not for the Nuggets. Like, nothing is going to happen there unless SGA has a catastrophic injury, and I'm not rooting for that. Nobody should ever root for that. But it seems like injuries is the only thing that is going to knock this Thunder team off their pedestal.
Well, even with that, like, they might still be the number 1 seed by far and away without SGA. Like, SGA is having a great season. We'll talk about that in a second. But they're so deep, and they've got so many players that come at you in waves, and they've already gotten so much ground on everyone else that if SGA missed, I'm not going to say out for the season, but if SGA missed like 2 months here, if he had to go down with like a sprained ankle like CB is right now, I still think that the Thunder would get the 1 seed pretty easily, and that kind of says a lot. But to your point, the Thunder are winning a lot of close games too, and that's something that has flipped from last year where they went in the playoffs and you're like, can they really close out teams? Because they really only blew teams out, or they would struggle in the fourth quarters. So that's one of the questions that we had on our preseason podcast, as we're going to revisit our preseason podcast a couple times throughout the show. Is one of my big questions was, can Oklahoma City close teams out? And the answer has been yes, very much yes. The Denver Nuggets, on the other hand, have struggled a little bit, surprisingly, to close teams out. And I say surprisingly because of their history with closing teams out late in fourth quarters and their clutch time stuff. But if you think about it, it's not all that surprising, because Nikola Jokic right now for the last month has been playing with one guy that he has ultimate trust in Jamal Murray down the stretch of games. Cam Johnson's still trying to figure it out. AG and CB aren't there. So the Nuggets closing lineup isn't really the starting five that we know it to be, which is so proficient.
Yeah, and I mean, we've said it probably 100 times, over the last few weeks. Like, they're just not. They have the best record in franchise history to start a season, yes, but they're also without their two best defenders in Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown. And so because of that, like, I understand they're winning these games by scoring in the 130s, the high 120s. Like, that's all great. They're winning in spite of some of those injuries. But when it comes to the Nuggets being in playoff form, and we're still a long ways to go from the playoffs, right? We're not going to see that until Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown get back. So right now, I think the term you used on Monday was like they're kind of buoying their way to wins. That's exactly what they're doing. And for the time being, that's okay.
So going back to the odds, as we're going to talk about where the Nuggets stand, Oklahoma City minus favorites at this point in the season, again, is just ludicrous. Normally, though, when a team is a minus favorite or that much of a favorite on one side of the bracket, which is the Western Conference, all the other favorites would be from the East, because the odds markets are predicting that the Thunder are going to meet some team in the finals, and it's more likely that something goes awry in the finals and a team that's there and just gets lucky, right? So that the team from the East has a chance. The odds makers are saying the East teams are so far below the Thunder that they don't even have a chance. It's more likely that the Denver Nuggets beat the Thunder in the Western Conference finals, and then just move through the finals against whoever's in the East. Because Danilo, if you look at the odds, Oklahoma City minus 110, Denver plus 80 or 800, New York Knickerbockers plus 1,300, Houston Rockets plus 1,300, so same odds there for third. Cleveland Cavaliers plus 17, Los Angeles Lakers plus 2,000, Detroit Pistons 3,000, Orlando, Boston. So you really get that smattering of East teams as we go down a little bit. But normally what I'm saying, and when we set this up, when you have a team like the Thunder, you would see like the Knicks, the Pistons, the Cavs all as the second, third, fourth favorite odds. Like right now in the NFL odds, no one trusts the Broncos. So all the Super Bowl favorites, it's like the Broncos just because they're at the top of the AFC, and then it's all NFC teams.
Right.
Because they think the Broncos will lose the Super Bowl. So this is telling you that all of the money believes that the Denver Nuggets have the second best chance and like really do. Like it's not just like that they're the second best team. No, they have the best chance to beat the Thunder, and no one believes that anyone but the Nuggets can beat the Thunder. And I think that's a great position for the Nuggets to be in. And if you look across the league and what teams need to do and what teams can do, and Giannis is floating out there, and what are we going to do about Giannis? Obviously, it would be nice if the Denver Nuggets added an all-star player. We all know that the Denver Nuggets do not have the assets to do that. But the Denver Nuggets, I don't think, are in a position where they need to panic and make a big, significant trade at the deadline. Whereas if the Spurs or Rockets want to go for it this year, I think they need to make one more move. And I think that's one of the strongest positions the Nuggets can be in as the trade market opens up here in 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, they're a battle-tested team, and it's a close-knit core, right? I don't think there's any legitimate addition that the Nuggets could make that would improve their chances. Like, and to your point, they can't trade for a Giannis because they don't have the assets to do it. I mean, if Fred VanVleet wasn't hurt, it'd be very interesting to see what this Rocket. I mean, the Rockets are a very good team, but with VanVleet, I mean, they'd be probably right there with the Nuggets as well. So we'll have to see how it shakes out. But at the end of the day, like the comparison that I keep making in my head, and I may have thrown this out here on the show, is like let's assume the Nuggets and the Thunder meet up in the playoffs, whether it's the second round of the conference finals, depending on how the season or the seeding shakes out. It'll be like the mid-90s in the NFL when the Cowboys and the 49ers would play in the NFC Championship game, and that was like the Super Bowl, and that the winner would go on to play like the Buffalo Bills, who are a good team, right? But like they'd steamroll them, or like the Steelers, like the Cowboys did in 95, 96. Like the real NBA champion will be the winner of Nuggets and Thunder, assuming they meet up in the playoffs.
No doubt about it, in my opinion, either. And it will be the battle between the two guys that are fighting for MVP, fought for MVP this last year. Anilo, a quarter way through the season, and the Nuggets fans that listen to this podcast, Mile High Hoops, they are not going to like this. But a quarter way through the season, I got to tell you, my MVP is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And it is because this guy is scoring, 33 points a game for a team that is 24-1, doing so on 56% efficiency, 45% three-point shooting, averaging 6.5 assists, 4.5 rebounds a night. Like, the stats obviously encompassing, whereas Nikola Jokic is, I think fourth in the league in scoring right now, first in rebounds, first assists. The stats will tell you that Nikola Jokic is more valuable to the Nuggets than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is to the Thunder. I agree with you. And I think whoever named most valuable player was wrong. Like, this should be most outstanding player. If this was the most outstanding player, it'd clearly be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this year. Most valuable is Nikola Jokic. Based off of how I would award this award, and I've been the person that's been batting the drum for Nikola Jokic over Embiid, over SGA the last couple of years. This is the first time that I have thought that guy's having a better season than Nikola Jokic since 2020 or 2019, whatever it was. And it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a quarter way through the season, because the Thunder are on the verge of not only a historic individual season, but a historic team season. And if you just go 75 wins, 78 wins, somewhere in there, you can't not give the MVP to the guy.
Yeah, it's twofold, right? One, to your point, you allude to the scoring. And if the Thunder had 5 losses, 6 losses, right? I think it's a little bit more of a competition. And look, even the odds tell us, like, SGA is at plus 110. Jokic is not far behind him at 2-1 odds. My guy Luka Doncic, who was my preseason pick, he's third at plus 300. And then it's a significant drop off. Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Maxey, like those guys aren't winning it. So it's essentially a 3-horse race here. And again, if the Thunder put up this historic season, if the Thunder finish with single-digit wins, it's a foregone conclusion.
Single-digit losses.
Or single-digit wins would be great. Single-digit losses, it's a foregone conclusion.
We're not talking about the aughts Nuggets here, Anilo. We're talking about the opposite.
Yeah, no, 100%. So look, I tend to agree with you. I mean, what SGA is doing this season is absolutely spectacular. And I think a lot of it, though, is because of the talent he has around him. I mean, Chet Holmgren at 23 years old is like the most dynamic role player in the NBA, and it's hard to call him a role player, but with as much as he plays off ball, like, you know, they are just a wagon. And I know that's more of a hockey term than it is, you know, a basketball term, football, baseball, whatever it might be, but like they are like the steam locomotive rolling down the tracks, right? To use the Grateful Dead lyric there. They have no signs of slowing down, and SGA is probably going to win the MVP unless an injury pops up. And again, I'm not rooting for that. It's just the fact.
So they have the MVP favorite with SGA. They have the Defensive Player of the Year favorite right now with Chet Holmgren. Those two guys are going to be in the All-Star game. We'll talk about All-Star stuff in a second. They have Jalen Williams, who was All-NBA last year, but isn't going to qualify this year. So they have those 3 guys. They have AJ Mitchell, who's playing out of his mind, and they have 3 of the best defensive players in the league besides the Defensive Player of the Year with Kayson Wallace and Lou Dort. And, you know, I really like what Isaiah Hartenstein does around the rim. You know, different type of defense, but really valuable nonetheless. Hartenstein didn't even play last night. They absolutely blew the doors off the Suns in that cup game. It's, you know, and the Suns are having a really good season. They're a solid team that does everything just okay, and they try hard. They don't do anything elite. Oklahoma City does almost everything elite, and you see the difference in those 2 teams when they matched up last night. So these are the best winning percentages in the history of the NBA for a single season. Oklahoma City Thunder 24-1, 96%. That's currently on track to be the best single season. The Warriors 89%, 73-9. They lost in the NBA Finals. Every single team I'm about to list, the next 4, won the NBA Finals. 72-win Chicago Bulls. 69-win Los Angeles Lakers in 1971-72. The 69-win Chicago Bulls in 96-97. And the 68-win Philadelphia 76ers in 1966-67. The following teams also won the championship. 68-win Thunder last year. The Celtics, 67 wins in 85. 67-win Chicago Bulls, 92. 67-win Los Angeles Lakers in 2000. The only 2 teams that did not win were the 73-win Warriors that we know about and the 68-win Celtics in 72-73. So the track record here, and I know people are going to be going and saying, because it's recent history with the Warriors saying, oh, if they only lose, 9-8 games, that didn't work out so well for the Warriors last time. The larger history of the NBA tells us if you win more than 67 games in a year, you are probably going to win the NBA championship, and you deserve to have that minus 110 odds with you. So you couple that with the fact that Chet Holmgren's the decoy. They have this incredible team. And by the way, Mark Daigneault is one of the Coach of the Year favorites, because if you win this many games, even if you're the expected champion, you're going to win Coach of the Year. I'm not disputing any of this, but I'm telling you, this is why you could make an argument that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander isn't the most valuable player, because they have all of this other stuff. And you're talking about value. And when you look at the Denver Nuggets, who may or may not have a second All-Star for the first time this year, you're not giving David Adelman Coach of the Year. Like, it's Jokic. It's just Jokic. Jokic is going up against the Death Star, man, and he might win.
The Denver Nuggets are the NBA's hope of preventing the Oklahoma City Thunder from winning an NBA championship and going back-to-back, right? I think the Spurs are still on the come-up. Houston's got some stuff with Durant and Sengun are great, but no Fred VanVleet, I think, puts a thorn in that. And look, isn't it ironic, and it would be so poetic, like Jokic slander the last 5 years on social media, from Kendrick Perkins to the other ESPN talking heads to the faceless Twitter accounts out there that love to try to tear down Nikola Jokic, right? But now it's kind of turning of like, oh my gosh, the Thunder are so good. SGA's a free throw merchant. They're going to get the Clippers top pick because of the trade dynamic. What goes around comes around. And I think the NBA world, when we get to playoff time, is going to be hoping and praying and begging on their knees that Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets get the job done and bounce the Oklahoma City Thunder, because Jake, there's no one in the Eastern Conference that could do it. Talked about Houston, talked about San Antonio. The Denver Nuggets are the best chance and maybe the only team with a legitimate opportunity to prevent the Oklahoma City Thunder and SGA and Lou Dort and this deep OKC team from going back to back. So Jokic, who at one point, among some non-ball knowers was like public enemy number one with regards to smear campaigns and tearing people down, might just become the Batman when the lights are shining brightest and the Joker's taking over Gotham to take down this Oklahoma City Thunder team.
I love it.
Jokic.
There's one team I thought was going to have a chance at doing it, and this has been one of my biggest surprises early on this season, is I thought the Cleveland Cavaliers would take a level up. I thought they'd be even better, and they have had kind of a disaster start to the year. And I'm not saying I'm like out on the Cavs, but Darius Garland does not look the way that Darius Garland has looked for the last couple of years. And they're sitting there below the Raptors and the 76ers at 14-11 in a weak Eastern Conference. I mean, the Cavs have already lost more games than the Thunder are probably going to lose this year. I'll put it that way. Like, and the fact that the Pistons are on top of that conference, I really like the New York Knickerbockers. They have no chance. Jalen Brunson has no chance if he runs into Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Pistons are too young. Celtics, maybe, if Tatum makes the most miraculous comeback and is just ready to go right away, and they are in the playoffs. I don't know. They still don't have a big. Like, Cade is good, but Cade is not that tall, and you need one of those tall guys, and they traded him, Kristaps Porzingis. The Orlando Magic, I don't think they have the firepower offensively, even though the defense is really good. The Toronto Raptors, I think they have a really good sneaky starting five, but they don't have the depth. So, and we're talking about teams, Anilo, that all have worse records than the Nuggets already. So, man, there's no one coming out of the East to save us. I mean, the East will be tough if the Nuggets somehow find their way past the Thunder, or the Rockets play past the Thunder, or something like that. Those East, that'll be a great finals. It really will be. There's some really good teams in the East, but they're not the greatest teams of all time like the Thunder are tracking to be. So right now, what I'm saying is one of the biggest surprises for me was the Cleveland Cavaliers slump. I've been stunned by that. And I would tell you the other one big surprise, and this guy is going to be on my all-star team when we list it here in a second, is Jalen Duren is one of the most improved players in the NBA. He is in the running for that conversation with Denny Avia as of now. And I did not expect Jalen Duren to be at this level. I always thought he had really good rim running ability and good rebounding ability, but his athleticism is making him one of the most valuable players in the league. And that's one of the reasons why the Pistons have been so successful so early on here.
Yeah, and I think Detroit's been my biggest surprise, more so in a positive way. I think the slide from Cleveland, while not expected, I think they'll figure it out long term, but Detroit's sitting atop the Eastern Conference right now at 19-5. I mean, that's great for basketball. Like, I like when the Pistons are good. Like there's just something about like the aura that comes with the Detroit Pistons when they're competitive that I feel like it's just good for the league. And so, yeah, I mean, Cade Cunningham is a guy that I think will likely probably at some point, if he keeps playing like this, contend, if not win an MVP at some point in his career. You shake your head, or in agreement or disagreement?
Who's winning except for Victor Wembanyama starting next year?
They're not going to give it to him every year, I don't think.
Maybe.
Jokic argument. Like,
maybe.
Jokic could win MVP for like 7 straight years.
Yeah, you're right. There'll be a chance. I think there's about 4 or 5 guys in the league at any given year that can really win the MVP. And I think Cade's right below that conversation. Fair. He's, I don't think Cade will ever be as good as Luka, and they're the same age, basically. That's my point. And maybe Luka gets hurt. Maybe Victor's hurt for 1 year and it's kind of wide open. Maybe it breaks all right. But I do think that Cade is not that S-tier superstar. He's that A-tier superstar. And that's not a bad place to be, man. If you're one of the top 10 players in the league, you got a chance to win the finals. You really do. If you're one of the top 5 players in the league, you got a chance to win the MVP. But you need to have one of those top 10 players in the league to win a finals. And I think that what the Pistons are building, and I think they still have one more move to make, whether it's moving Ivy and Harris. I know Harris is such a big part of their culture, but I like the style that they have and the physicality that they play with.
Yeah.
And, former Nuggets legend Bickerstaff, his son is coaching the team. I kind of like this Pistons team quite a bit. And I'm kind of curious to see if they're going to take a run at Malik Beasley, who's still a free agent, who was such an important player for them last year, and just sign him for the rest of the year or something like that. So I still think that there's more coming with the Pistons, but there is a conversation to be had, and this will be something at the trade deadline of, if you're the Detroit Pistons and you're having this good of a season, do you speed up your timeline and go all in with the move for like Lauri Markkanen or something?
Yeah, that could be interesting. And look, I think Detroit's a fun team. Look, I could see them making a run this year to an NBA final. I still think I know we're at the third mark or so for the season, but like let's take it easy just a little bit. I think they've caught lightning in a bottle to come out, to start this season, but let's see where they end up. I have a soft spot for the Knicks. They ain't doing anything without Giannis, bro. Like there's nothing, like the Knicks are a good team, but there's nothing about that team that makes me think like, yup, like this is definitively better than Detroit. Like this is a team that is for sure going to be the favorite to come out of the East. Like I'm not there at the Knicks. And the team that I picked to face the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals last 2 weeks, Boston Celtics. They flipped themselves a little bit of a switch this year. This last couple of weeks, 15-9. I think Jaylen Brown has done a really good job of kind of asserting himself. They do miss the size without Kristaps Porzingis, but again, this is a team in Joe Mazzulla that they have that championship pedigree still intact to a certain extent. Old pal Derek White, I know he kind of got off to a slower start to the season, but a tried and true pro that I think will get it going. We talked about Jaylen Brown, and there's video going around of Jason Tatum, looking like he's doing all right in the gym. So, my expectation is I think Jason Tatum's going to come back at some point or another. Like if I had to make a bet right now, or if I had to pick a team to come out of the Eastern Conference, I'm sticking with the Boston Celtics where I started the year because I think Detroit's young and inexperienced. I worry about the Knicks and the pressure cooker. I agree with you about Orlando of defense is good, but do they have enough on offense? Cleveland's a mess. I'm going with the Celtics out of the East right now, my man.
Yeah, man, I had the Knicks coming out to start the year. I'm kind of with you.
That pains me to say. Like I have my dad was a diehard New York Knicks fan growing up. Like that was the team that I, looked towards a lot when I was a kid. They're very beatable in my opinion.
I still think that we haven't seen what that team can fully be. They have a rookie coach. I mean, not rookie head coach in the NBA, but just a new coach for them, Mike Brown. I'm more of a Tibbs guy myself, so I don't know that was really an improvement there. Kind of with you. I think if they traded OG and Cat for Giannis and Kuzma, and, that's just how the salaries would work out, basically, I think they would be better. But I want to see that team when Jordan Clarkson finds a rhythm, when Gershon Yabusele looks a little bit better. I still have hope for the Knicks. I think the Knicks, if the Thunder don't come out of the West, have a chance. If the Thunder come out of the West, the Knicks have no chance. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Knicks. But I look at do you have any other surprises before I go into this?
In the NBA as a whole, I mean, Milwaukee, right? I mean, like they're just down and out. And I know Giannis.
Well, they can't win a game without Giannis. Giannis keeps getting hurt.
Yeah, they're 10-15. I mean, they're not going anywhere. The Bulls fall from grace after their hot start to the season. That's something to monitor. But again, not all that surprising to me. On the Western Conference, man, I think Luka Doncic and the Lakers look really good. 17-7. I still take the Nuggets over them, but I think they've been good. Minnesota's been a little bit up and down. Golden State floating around 500. Not all that surprising to me, though.
I think the two surprises for me out in the West, I didn't expect the Suns to be this competitive. I knew they were going to be a lot.
Smiling.
Yeah, Dante loves this. I knew they were going to be better. I didn't think they were going to be this competitive. And Jordan Knott's got these boys really coached up and trying hard. And you can see it on a night-to-night basis. Like they were such a horrible team to watch last year. You couldn't do it because they were so bad and they didn't try. This year, they're a fun team to watch. And they fundamentally haven't changed that much.
Right.
The Trailblazers have slid a little bit. The Mavericks are having a disaster start to the year. But the team that really surprised me in terms of how bleak it was, because you saw me be high on this team coming into the year, I said one of these two teams is going to surprise us and be really good, and one of these two teams is going to surprise us and probably going to be bad. And I picked the wrong way. But I was right that only one were going to be good. The Warriors are off to a good year. The Clippers, who I thought were going to be the team that had a good year, are having a catastrophic year to the point where they might hand an Oklahoma City Thunder a lottery pick in the top 3.
Oh, they will.
They probably will. I wonder if they make a panic trade for Giannis or Zion and they just go all in and they double down, because that would be a very Los Angeles Clippers.
That's so Steve Ballmer.
Correct. I thought adding John Collins, who I like a lot, would help them in their size. I thought Bradley Beal wasn't that much of a downgrade from Norman Powell. Boy, was I wrong. And this is coming from a guy who's got a Norman Powell graphic t-shirt. I love Norman Powell. One of my favorite players in the NBA. You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
Where'd you get this shirt?
In Los Angeles, when I was there covering the Clippers Nuggets series. I was like, I need a Norman Powell shirt. Like, that'd be cool.
Respect that.
Yeah. Like, I just love these like these NBA players only real NBA heads know. And Norman Powell's a bucket. And the thing is, Norman Powell's going to get better known this year because Danilo Piro, he is on my all-star team in the East. Norm Powell's going to get the all-star game he wanted to last year. Here's my East all-stars. And remember, talked about this on the last pod. You need a certain amount of players from Team USA and also Team World. I've got Karl Anthony Towns, who is from Dominica, as part of Team USA. He qualifies technically, so there's like some ways around this, but I think it's 16-8. You need at least 16 Team USA players, and if you have 15, you need to add one more in. So here's my East. Starters: Cade, Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Jaylen Brown, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So 4 Americans. Reserves: Jalen Brunson, Jalen Johnson from the Hawks, Karl Anthony Towns, Norm Powell, Scotty Barnes, Jalen Duren, and Franz Wagner. So only 2 world players from the East. How do you feel about that? We'll stop on the East for now.
I like it. I was curious to see if you were going to put Franz Wagner on there. I mean, I didn't hear you didn't say Evan Mobley, did you?
I didn't say Evan Mobley. And
no
the
PI.
Wagner, say it again.
No Brandon Ingram.
No Brandon Ingram. And the Wagner thing could change because Wagner just got hurt. So Mobley and Ingram would be just on the outside looking in. I'm a little hesitant on Mobley just because of how bad their season's gone, but I'm a big Mobley guy. He hasn't taken the step that I quite wanted him to take this year, but Brandon Ingram has been awesome for the Raptors. And that's the thing, as we know with the Nuggets and Jamal Murray, this thing gets really tight when we get to the edges here.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Like, you could make a legitimate argument, I think, for Brandon Ingram and Evan Mobley. I mean,
and the third one I would go with is Bam Adebayo.
Yes.
But it's really tough to put 2 Heat players into the All-Star game when the Heat are 14-11.
Right. I mean, Evan Mobley's, not much different from his career. I mean, number 3 overall pick, obviously, in 2021, but he's essentially averaging a double-double a game.
Yeah.
Just under 19 points and 9 rebounds a game. I mean, he's been this steady Eddie, and I understand that the season hasn't exactly gone according to plan for Cleveland, but Evan Mobley's a guy that I think is an all-star caliber player. I'd put him in over Bam Adebayo. I'll put it that way. And I know he's on the bubble as well.
I think you either have to put Norm or Bam in. And if you're putting in Norm, you can make the case for Mobley over Wagner. And if you're putting Bam in, you could probably make the case for Ingram just because you want more of the guard look. That's kind of where I'm at on the East, which I know people on this podcast don't care about as much. So we'll roll right through to the West. My starters are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic, Anthony Edwards, Nikola Jokic. No big surprises there. Nope. 2 Americans in there. Victor Wembanyama coming off the bench just because of the injury this year. Kevin Durant, Alpi Sengun, Austin Reeves, Chet Holmgren, Denny Avdia, in my last pick for the All-Star game. If you're keeping track, you know it's a Team World player. Jamal Murray.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I've got him in. I think it's going to be a debate whether or not you want Jamal Murray from the Nuggets or Devin Booker from the Suns. And if you're picking Devin Booker from the Suns, that's a Team World player, or a Team USA player over Murray, who's a Team World player. So this gets complicated. So with Wagner, who is World, you could go USA, and then you go instead of World there. So it's like you have a lot of moving parts here. This is 10 times more complex than it was last year. But I think ultimately that last spot comes down to Jamal Murray or Devin Booker. You could make a case, in my opinion, for Julius Randle or Lauri Markkanen, who is averaging 28 points per game. And then the other part that could get in here and disrupt Jamal Murray's candidacy is LeBron's going to win the fan vote.
Yeah, LeBron's going to be an all-star. Like, he's going to be an all-star. Like, he's just like an all-star by default at this point, especially this late into his career. I was going to say something that I shouldn't have said on this pod. I'm not going to say it. But you know how the LeBron fans are out there with respect to their king and this and that. And like, he's making the all-star team. A name I don't think you mentioned, and I understand they're like one of the worst teams in the West. No James Harden for you.
No James Harden. Too bad of a year.
Fair.
And that would mean, Anilo, and I was just about to bring it up with LeBron, the All-Star game is in Los Angeles. It's in his hometown, right now.
Well, then there's literally no chance LeBron doesn't make the All-Star team.
But it's being hosted by the Clippers.
Right.
And I have no All-Star from the Los Angeles Clippers.
The NBA, there'll be a Clipper represent. I think James Harden is going to make the team. I understand, it's Adam Silver make the call. He is 12th in the league in points per game. He's 26 a game with 8 assists. So all of that
because everyone wants to know about Jamal Murray. That's really the conversation we're having. It's looking, even though I've got Jamal Murray on my All-Star team, you just threw in 8 clauses. I just threw in 7 different clauses. It's looking real tough for him to make it, even though he's having this year.
I don't think it would surprise anybody if Jamal gets the short end of the stick despite his numbers. Like, I don't want that. It's disrespectful. It shouldn't be the case. This is like the best start to a season Jamal Murray's ever had in his career. He 100% deserves to be an all-star if he keeps playing this way leading up to the game. But the NBA is a star-driven league. And at the end of the day, what you just the picture you just painted, LeBron's going to win the fan vote. Are we really going to sit here and say that there's not going to be a member from the host city's team not on the All-Star game as well? And people look at the Denver Nuggets still as kind of like this Jokic and everybody else, this flyover type of team. Like, it's a
the Lakers are going to have 3 All-Stars the way this is with Reeves and Don, and they should
deserving,
and they should. Like, I'm not, LeBron's not an All-Star this year, but we all know, like, it's fine. Like, I get it, you know. But Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves are All-Stars this year. Chet's on this team. SGA's on this team. Denny Aviad, you could have a conversation about, but Denny Aviad has been one of the best players in the league, in my opinion. He's the only guy in the league that's beaten the Nuggets and the Thunder. Only guy. So there you go.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at, Anilo. That's where I'm at with Murray. And I guess my follow-up question for you would be, if Jamal does not make the All-Star game this year with the start he's having, is that better for him, or does that derail his season?
I think it's better for him. I think Jamal plays with spite. Like, I really do. Like, I just, like, again, I don't know Jamal all that well. You know, we're in the locker room. We see him, the body language, this and that. But, like, Jamal seems like, what's the Kevin Durant tweet that he sent out a bunch of years ago? He's like, too much love will kill you. Hate fuels me. That's how I kind of feel this would apply to Jamal Murray. Like, if Jamal Murray might sit back, and if he doesn't make the All-Star team, he'll be like, all right, watch this. I'm going to go out there and contend for another championship. I'm going to take down Oklahoma City in the process with the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, by my side. And we're going to go get a second ring. I think Jamal Murray, it would fuel Jamal Murray's fire, which is already scorching hot to start the year.
I kind of feel like you in the sense that I believe Jamal plays with a lot of spite. It's right above my head here, Jamal, the baby doll. The thing is, I think Jamal needs the recognition this time. I think Jamal's playing so well, and everyone knows it. And I think getting that affirmation that he is truly in that club of top 30 NBA players as voted on by the players, fans, and coaches, I think that would mean a lot to him, even though he's not really talking about it. I think that affirmation would change the way we look at him and the perspective. And, you know, I just think there's this weight on his shoulders of being Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic's partner, the right-hand man to Jokic for all these years. And he's let him down in some way by not being an all-star, because everyone knows the stat that Jokic never played with an all-star. I'm not saying he's right or wrong. I'm just saying I think this is the situation maybe going through his head, and I could see this not going well if he does not go into the all-star game. I could see this really derailing his season. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm just a little scared of what will happen, because he is deserving. His progress, his statistics, what he's meant for the Denver Nuggets, who are the second favorite in the West, 17-6, with a team full of injuries. He's deserving. There's no debating it. But it's really hard to get into the All-Star game. It just is.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I think you hit the nail on the head, dude. And we'll have to see how it shakes out. I want Jamal Murray to be an all-star. You want Jamal Murray to be an all-star. Dan Chav behind the screen wants Jamal Murray to be an all-star. Everybody that's a Nugget fan wants Jamal Murray to be an all-star. But it's a popularity-driven league. As Adam Silver liked to say, it's a highlight league, right? You know, throwing his own freaking league under the bus, which is insane to me. So we'll see where the chips fall.
Just listen to our podcast and watch the highlights. Who needs to watch the games anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
Don't even go. There's no reason to.
Ridiculous.
And Elo, the Denver Nuggets might not have Jamal Murray at the All-Star game, but at the All-Star festivities, they'll definitely have Nikola Jokic as well as some other representatives. My question to you is, what Denver Nuggets would you like to see as part of the festivities? Maybe the dunk contest, the three-point contest. I don't know, they've really got a young player that would qualify for the Rising Stars game this year, but I've been thinking about it, and I don't think Jamal Murray's going in the three-point contest if he's not an all-star. I think maybe if he is an all-star, he would do the three-point contest, which would be very fun. I think Peyton Watson should be in the dunk contest.
He's the only one that kind of comes to mind to me, right? I think Aaron Gordon at Media Day, like, he was asked a question about how he's still so athletic, and he was like, you know, I was dunking over mascots in my 20s, right? Like, Aaron Gordon is not running it back with the NBA dunk competition. Peyton Watson, I think, is the only guy that makes sense for really any of these. I mean, Jokic ain't doing that. Jokic ain't doing anything more than he wants to do, or has forced to do, rather. Peyton Watson in the dunk contest would be sick. I'm here for that.
In his hometown.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, and he's represented by Clutch. Clutch is probably like, let's get you some shine. Let's get you on the national stage.
You're a free agent. Let's get your name out there.
Oh yeah.
I'm telling you, this would be awesome for Peyton. Yep. I'm all on board. This would be cool for Peyton. And Peyton's had some really good dunks this year. He's a creative guy. I'm sure he could come up with some stuff. I would like to see it. The other thing I would like to see, as I just said, who's your rising star? There's a clear rising star option on the Denver Nuggets. Spencer Jones.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him in the Rising Stars game. I don't know that there's a real chance, but I think there's he's starting for a team that's the second best team in the West, and he's starting more than, just about anybody else. So I don't know. I think I could make a case for Spencer Jones. Obviously, the stats don't really show it because he's not scoring a lot. He's more of a defensive guy, but it'd be cool to see him in the Rising Stars game.
I'm with you. I think it's like the cherry on top, right? I think I'd rather see Peyton Watson in the dunk contest, but let's get some representation outside of the big fella for once. Come on.
Right. The amount of years the Denver Nuggets, who lead the West, just sent Nikola Jokic is pathetic, but that's where we are, flyover country, even though it's the prettiest state in the world. Anyway, we will be back Monday. The Nuggets return tonight to play the Sacramento Kings. On Monday, later in the day, yeah, they need revenge tonight. I'm with you. I can't say your name. I don't know what it is, but I'm with you.
Thanks, guys.
The Denver Nuggets play the Houston Rockets on Monday. We will have a pod just before that show. We'll break it down because that is one of the best games so far this season. The Nuggets, when they played the Rockets the first time, we know this game's going to be a banger too. So we'll be back on Monday talking to you about the Kings win because of the revenge and previewing the Rockets game that night. He's Shapiro and Piro. I'm Jake Shapiro. Thank you for tuning into the Mile High Hoops podcast. I'd love to know if you've got Jamal Murray in the All-Star game after we broke it down the way we did.